Welcome everyone. I'm Jeff Mastroianni, the Executive Director of Easthampton Media, now E-Media officially. And I just want to say welcome to our members, our friends, our board, and distinguished and honored guests, and the thousands of you watching at home. So we have a pretty exciting program, I think, for you this evening. And this is nice. I see we have like a few more people here than we did last year, so it's nice to see you all here. Thank you for coming. So I'm going to now give you the State of the Station address, which is basically going to continue where we left off last year. Last year I stood up here having been in the job for about 7 months, and so I didn't really have a year's worth of things to report on. But I did have the opportunity to talk about some improvements that we'd already made, such as installing a new playback system for our channels, and all of the wonderful features that brought with it, like streaming and closed captioning and all those things that we are able to do now. And then I also talked about our rebranding. So I guess I'll start with that. We've officially rebranded as E-Media, and this past spring, and this is one of two kind of major points I want to talk about. This past spring, we relaunched our website, and that was, I think, a pretty big milestone for us because it brought together a lot of different things that we needed to just sort of crystallize. One of them being obviously the access to content, first and foremost. The ability to get to channel schedules and channel streams and see the stuff that we've got on television, like this right now. And to provide a portal for new members to be able to communicate with us, for us to be able to keep track of what they want to do and their needs, and just keep track of our membership, period. So it's been really exciting. You know, it's a bit of a work in progress, just trying to dial it in and get everybody kind of involved and using what we have to offer now. So that's one really big thing, and I'm going to be brief, I'll just let you know. The biggest exciting thing I have to share is the improvements that we've been able to make this year due to our having received a couple of pretty major grants. One for $50,000, an ARPA grant that we received from the city of Easthampton, and then the second for just about $30,000 that we got from the Massachusetts Cultural Council. So with that money, we have been able to make some amazing additions and upgrades and finance some great improvements to our facility here. So I'm going to just run over them very quickly, but there's a nice list in the program if you want to take a look, but I'll start from front and work my way back here. The one I'm most proud of, I would say, is the installation of our new podcast facility. If you haven't seen it, it's a pretty great little room. You know, obviously, we all have a podcast in us. I know, you know, you're sitting here right now thinking, "Oh, that's so great! I can't wait to finally." But people like podcasts. I love podcasts. I listen to numerous podcasts. But it's also a very versatile space. We have the ability to put cameras in there, and it's just a nice, tight, little, great-sounding room that we're very proud to have. We've just upgraded all of our edit suites, so we now have brand new Mac Studio computers for our members to be able to edit their content, and that coincides with the purchase of brand new field equipment for our producers to be able to take out and create the content. 4K cameras, complete kits that have microphone, headphones, everything you need to go out in the world and do what you want to do. And then working our way back here, I sort of themed this as the going from no tech to high tech phase of our improvements. The addition of audio equipment, which we literally had almost no real audio equipment in this facility. In fact, one of our producers, Dr. Dan, was trying to put on a show here, and he had a couple of guys come and play, 2 people up on stage, and we had to like duct tape a boom stand together and like dig through to find, so we knew it was time. And I'm happy to say that we've purchased quite a sizable array of audio equipment, including a new digital console. We've gone all digital all the way out to the floor here. We have the ability to do multi-track recording. And we actually have microphones and stands and all that great stuff. So that's huge. Secondly, brand new cameras. So you look around the room and these 3 cameras you see here, brand new 4K camera workflow here. Very happy to have those. We're basically now a plug-and-play facility, meaning this stuff is here. It takes virtually no time to get up and running. People can come in and do what they want to do. We also added a brand new light console, which, believe it or not, might not sound that exciting, but prior to this, we really couldn't control all of these wonderful lights you see up in the ceiling here. And now we can actually use them. We can rearrange and reconfigure them as needed to do whatever needs to be done. And then we can also do amazing things like this. I mean, come on. This is like serious wow, right? This is like Pink Floyd concert. A game show. So yeah, no, I know. You're asking yourself, I mean, why do you want to do that? And I don't have a good answer, really. But we can do it. We can do that. And the other thing was the addition of a brand new green screen curtain here. This actually stretches all the way across the room, so we can do all kinds of creative, fun things. Everybody loves green screens. I'm talking off the microphone. The people at home are very upset right now. But so yeah, a lot of really just great technological improvement here to the facility, and so that's a huge step for us, and I am incredibly grateful to the mayor, to the city, and to the Massachusetts Cultural Council, and we could not have done this without that generosity. And so now what's next? Now we use this stuff. Now we find people. Now we bring people here. So Erica will talk about a little bit about our efforts to market ourselves. We need to be out in the community. We need to have people see us doing the things that we do so that maybe they'll want to join us. I think we need to get the message out there that there's a real need for this sort of facility, this skill set. I think we all know video is not going away. And yes, you may love to make TikTok videos. You might like to put your stuff on YouTube. I will tell you that you have a better chance of starting pitching against the Yankees tomorrow night at Fenway Park than you do of getting YouTube famous. But you can learn valuable skills. You can work with people. And I think that's something you'll hear from our keynote speaker, Thomas Draudt. And so that's it, is to get the message that here we are. We've got this amazing facility, really. I can't tell you how proud I am. And also, I meant to shout out to my team, because I'm very fortunate to have this group to work with. Jackson Foote, who came on last fall as our production coordinator, and Tim Riley, who sadly had to leave us as our full-time operations manager, but is still here with us, working part-time and helping out with events like this. So I have that team. We've got a great board of directors. So just raise your hand, board of directors. We're here. Thank you guys for everything you do. And thank you all again for being here, for being part of our family. And we're looking forward to seeing twice as many of you here next year. All right, so I'm going to ask Erica, our board president, to come up for the board report.
It's quite bright up here. Thank you all for joining us tonight, and it is nice to see the numbers double. For us, that's exciting, and that's just one more hill we've gotten a little closer to the top. It has been a lot of work to get us here, and you know, we work great as a team, but I definitely want to thank one more time our staff, because even though the board does what we do, we wouldn't have a job to do if it wasn't for you guys showing up every day, no matter what. Even through, you know, us saying we're going to get to the fun stuff. We're going to get to the fun stuff. I promise. Like month after month after month, especially during the pandemic. So you guys are incredible. During those dark days that we all had as a community, you kept everybody connected. And now that the world's opened back up, we're gonna drive those connections even deeper. Jeff is right. Our big focus this year moving forward, now that we have these amazing facilities, is getting people through that door. So one of the big developments this year is we've created an outreach committee, and we are now expanding our events. So Art Walk has become a very active event for us. We're picking up momentum. Jeff is amazing with what he does, and adding live music to the visual arts each month has been incredible. It's a great opportunity to connect with folks, to collaborate. You know, they bring their people, we bring our people. It gives everybody more exposure, and that's what we're all looking for as artists and organizers. Farmers Market we've joined this year, so we have a number of Sundays where we're just simply out there talking to folks and saying, hey, are you familiar with eMedia? If yes, have you seen us in a while? You should come in and check us out. If not, you should come in and check us out. And it's true, everybody has a podcast idea, and we have the room that you can really launch that idea. So getting people through the door is really our goal this year. It's really exciting for me to meet new members who are saying, I want to volunteer. That is a home run in my book. That's what we've been talking about and hoping for, and to see it happening just makes me incredibly happy. So, you know, the state of the board is we have room on the board as well. So there's a number of ways you can volunteer. And board service is one of them. Simply showing up to Art Walk or Farmers Market and spending some time talking to folks about your experiences with eMedia is another way. Jeff always has kind of projects or events that come up, and he could just use an extra person to run a camera, for instance. So at any level and capacity that you want, we can find a place for you here at eMedia. I do want to take this opportunity, as Jeff said, Tim's role has changed here. And if Tim, if you wouldn't mind joining me up here, just wanted to.
Oh, wow. Nice.
This is in appreciation. I get a little emotional, so sorry. Tim's been with this organization for 15 years. It's pretty incredible, and as somebody in the community who I know how much dedication and hard work you've put in to keep us all connected, I want to thank you, and the board of directors also thanks you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you all.
Okay. So that's enough of me, because now I'm just going to start crying. I get really excited over community and connecting people. I hope, as Jeff said, I hope to see our numbers double, not only in membership, but in attendance at all of our events coming forward. So if you're coming to an art walk or you're going to the farmer's market, please bring a friend. Bring somebody to introduce to us, because we will just grow. Our networks can all combine and grow, and we'll all make beautiful things together. And I think Jackson is maybe up next. So I'll invite Jackson Foote up to go over our Producer of the Year award.
Thank you, Erica. Let me find my speech. All right. If you didn't know, I'm Jackson Foote, production coordinator here at eMedia. And like Erica said, I will be presenting the Producer of the Year. So, last year we started a tradition that would honor a producer for their steadfast dedication to producing local content for the community. In our first year, we awarded Dr. Dan Russell for his work in producing Songwriter Spotlight. This year, we honor a woman who began her vodcast back in 2019 and has produced more than 25 episodes as what began as Drop the Mic and now has become Mind Your Own Business. Let's take a look.
How the heck are you?
How the heck are you?
We're going to do a podcast.
So let's get a little deeper into your story, shall we? Who are you?
All that becomes a sticky wicket.
You know, what's your juice? Let's get back on track. You've got a lot of things going on. What is it that you're curious about? You know, what are you doing? Right? Well,
Like, let's crumble up some falafel for you.
boom, 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 boom. It's been a whirlwind for you. What is it that supercharges you about this? Lots going on, lots coming up, or is that too many stuff? Did I ask too many questions?
No, not too many questions.
Now that I've given that away, this year's recipient of the eMedia Producer of the Year is Mo Beliveau. Mo's name is engraved on the plaque outside of the studio. She also gets this one-of-a-kind handmade eMedia mug. Come on up, Mo. Of course. So, in recognition of your continued commitment and dedication to the creation of the community programming, Mo Beliveau is awarded Producer of the Year.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So, oh God, it is bright up here. Thank you so much, eMedia. You have no idea how excited I am and how honored I was to get that email from Jeff. eMedia has a very special place in my heart. You know, I came to eMedia with a thought and an idea, and they said, yes, let's do that, and they helped me create it and helped me get it to be what it is and help me to continue to get it to grow. So I would encourage everyone to come and visit eMedia. If you have a thought, if you have an idea, if you want to do a podcast, whatever it is that you want to do, they're here for you. They're incredible partners. The Chamber values their partnership. I value their partnership, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. This is the best birthday gift I've ever gotten, so thank you.
Okay, so now I'm very excited to introduce a truly distinguished guest. This evening's keynote speaker is an acclaimed director, producer, and filmmaker who has left an indelible mark on both television and cinema. He directed over 500 episodes of the iconic series This Old House and Ask This Old House, also serving as an executive producer on 2 other distinct series. His work in This Old House earned him an Emmy Award and 4 Emmy nominations. Not limited to television, our speaker has also made a name in documentary filmmaking. His film Typewriter was awarded Best Short Documentary at the Los Angeles Independent Film Festival, while his other documentaries, Typewriter Repairman and The Hustle is Real, have collectively received 32 international film awards. Join me in welcoming industry luminary and Emmy Award-winning creator Thomas Draudt.
Wow. Okay, thank you, Jeff, and hello, everybody. For the last 40 years, I've been behind the camera, so this is new to me, so please bear with me. I usually don't have to be on this side. Why am I here? Well, I moved to Northampton last August. However, I started my career in Amherst 40 years ago. At that time, that was the advent of this new technology. You might have heard of it. It was called cable television. It was a very exciting time. It was interesting because I was just finishing up UMass. There's a Union Video Center, has a place for all the kooks that were coming down there and making short videos and things. All of a sudden, this cable thing happened. And we're like, oh my God, what timing? This is great. We're all going to work. This is going to be absolutely great. And it was. At that time, Amherst Cable was just starting, so we did stuff at Amherst Cable. So I'm tracing sort of my roots in this sort of facility. None of the facilities were nearly as nice as this. I mean, we're talking, pull start cameras and reel-to-reel editing. It was pretty rough. For those of us who stayed with it, it's kind of a survival of the fittest kind of situation. And when I moved back to this area, I decided to go around to the various cable stations and just kind of see, what's going on. What's the health of, community access television around here? And that's how I met Jeff, and I'm glad I did. And came over to this facility, saw the great things that he was doing here, and then he invited me to come here. And again, thank you, Jeff, for the invitation. Tonight, I'd like to share some of my reflections and observations over the years as it pertains to community television. And first, I'd just like to show a short bunch of work to sort of make the points and just sort of see some of what I've done in my career. And it's going to start out with a little bit of clip from This Old House. It's going to go into a PSA that I did for Framingham, diversity, equity, and inclusion effort, and then two kind of truncated cuts from my short films that he was talking about. So let's watch those and I'll continue. Spacebar.
The This Old House brand to me means craftsmanship more than anything else.
Honesty, integrity.
I always think about trust. The only thing we care about is getting it right. And whatever steps it takes to do that, that's what we're going to do. You know you're in trouble when you can slide your hand inside your wall.
Yeah, that is a problem. But I used to
There's a joy in watching a craftsman, an artist, doing their thing. Seeing them transform something in front of you. When you ask Tom Silva to build something, when you ask Roger Cook to transform a backyard, when you ask Richard Trethewey to solve a complex problem, all of that stuff happens in real time, and that's what makes the show.
What you see happening is real. We don't have a script.
What we do is what we do on a daily basis in the real world. I mean, the only difference is there's a camera watching what we do.
Here we go. And action.
All right, we need to stain this real dark, and it's maple, and maple doesn't take stain well. So what we need to do is open up the grain. I'm gonna just take a damp rag.
Sharing techniques is not something that people wanted to do when the show started. And they would say to me, what are you doing? You're giving away all our secrets.
We love what we do. And we want to share the knowledge that we have accumulated over the years.
Because wouldn't it be better for homeowners to understand better the process and respect the craftsmanship than to hide it from them?
We're teachers, and through the lens, we're talking to the homeowner. And that's a great connection.
This is an energy recovery ventilator.
We're not pretenders. We're not actors. We're contractors that love what we do.
Everybody has the same interest in mind, is that we want to make good television that has good content, that's done really well, not only from the television point of view, but from the craftsmanship point of view.
Framingham's diversity is one of its true strengths.
We are learning to be inclusive.
It's so important to fight together because we need each other.
As I got older and started to spread my wings, I met a lot of people in Framingham who really sheltered me and took me in, and growing up, that's what I wanted.
Framingham Together has been very beneficial to us as a business because it creates an air of inclusion.
I wouldn't have been able to sustain my business if it wasn't for the town of Framingham investing in someone like me.
It's not just appreciating other people in your community, but actually and physically and spiritually connecting with them to form one greater, stronger community.
We can make our city a better place for everyone. by including and understanding and communicating.
It's about supporting Framingham.
They're machines. They're also typewriters, but they are machines. I'm just used to calling them machines. Just the way I think, because I'm a repairman. We are first and foremost a repair shop here. That's our main mission, is to clean and fix the machines up, and we send them back out there for another life. People are looking for a machine that's got the right action on the keyboard. How their fingertips feel on top of the keys, how hard it is to press them, how deep they gotta press the key down, even the sound. That whole sensory feedback, the touch and the sound, the clackety-clack. You just kind of like throw it back. With everything digital now, people miss how they used to feel when they press a key or type a letter and send it in the mail. There's a lot going on when you're using a typewriter. Backspace. Touch, sound, feel, sight, all your senses, all rolled into one experience. Hit the period. I probably do close to 1,000 typewriter repairs a year. You can replace anything on a typewriter. I have parts. I have these very same machines down in my graveyard. They were made to be repaired, which is totally different from the way they make things today. Everything's, you know, if it breaks, you throw it away and buy a new one. Part of why I like repairing these is because I've got a beautifully designed, beautiful looking machine here, and my job is to bring it back to life. And I know that once I bring this back to life and someone takes care of it again, that it's going to last. Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Good luck. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you. Thanks. Enjoy your machine. They'll pass it on, and it'll live another 100 years.
Play a record for me.
Sure.
Okay, the needle's on the record.
This would be where my weapons of choice are in. I play records for a living. I'm just really a working class DJ. People think it's glamorous. It can be. Not everyone's looking for a DJ like me. It's a grind. You hustle and get it done. I mean, the hustle is real all the time. My name is Jameson Harvey. So tight and so heavy. I DJ under the name DJ Prestige. I can tell you a good story about this record too. And I run a site called Flea Market Funk. All right, guys, I'm going. All right. I'll see you later. All right. Love you. Look, I have kids. I'm married. I need to eat. You know, my wife and I work hard to make things happen. But, you know, I want to leave a legacy.
See you, Daddy. Bye. See you, buddy.
And I'm going to do whatever it takes. And whatever it takes means working harder than the next guy. I mean, it's every day. You need to hustle and work and be different.
Yo, Brooklyn, shake.
Everyone thinks that a DJ's job is just to make people dance. It's not. I do a variety of gigs. I do gigs for atmosphere, for a vibe. If you want to dance, dance. If you want to nod your head, sure. And then there's some gigs that are like, okay, doors open, people want to go. able to pay my bills and take care of my kids and my wife's happy. That's what's important to me. If I can turn people onto records, which translates into happiness and smiles, if I can put in some African boogie records next to some other funk record, and people are moving and they're loving it, and they may not know, but they hear that beat and they're really into it. For me, it's a job well done. It's like what Thelonious Monk said, you know, do your own thing. 15, 20 years, people will catch on.
Thank you. Thank you. That's just a little bit of what I've done somewhat recently. Those films, those last two films were made in the last 5 years. That's when I got back into digital video and bought a camera and started to shoot and edit again. But I'm just going to quickly go through my pathway to this whole house and to what I was doing in Boston. I was in the Valley, in this area, in the 1980s. Like I said earlier, it was the birth of cable TV, public access. Is it the TV revolution? We all thought. Access to equipment. It was a meeting place. It was where people could become a maker, an electronic artist. You know, that was like a new thing. Because, you know, there wasn't any cameras available. I mean, if you wanted a real camera, you had to work in the business. You had to be a filmmaker. Those cameras were $60,000, $70,000. So what cable access did was it let people from the community come in and use decent gear. It wasn't great gear, but it was decent. And work with people with similar ambitions. So that was the beginning. I came from facilities like this. I was making video shorts and video art. I had a show in Northampton Cable called Frameworks, which was basically a collection of short works from everybody that was making them, and it was a way to show my work, so I decided to package it into this thing called Frameworks. I took that show down to Springfield when I got a job at the Springfield Community Network down there, the cable access facility in Springfield. I took that idea down there and did a New England-wide video art or video independent film and video showcase called Video Zone in concert with Zone Art Center, that was an art center in downtown Springfield. At the Springfield Community Network, I also did a show called Performance Showcase. This was my first sort of paid gig in cable television. Before that, I was just a volunteer. And what we did there at Springfield, we had that facility, as you probably know, back then it was a big battle with all the cable companies. They wanted to land that community, and in order to do that, they had to sweeten the deal with the nicest sort of facilities possible. And we got a really state-of-the-art one at that time. We had a 5-camera mobile unit, and so I was in charge of the cultural programming. I sort of got that gig, and we drove around with this truck. And this is sort of 1982 to 85, I think, and shot like all the concerts that were happening, you know, music, theater, and dance. And that was my show. I was producing that. We had interviews and things like that. And I won a cable award for that, a Massachusetts Cable Award, first place for that series. So that was a very exciting time. Then in 1989, I moved to San Francisco, and I had also got a job at a production company in East Long Meadow called Veritech, and that's when I started to work in sort of the corporate video world and sort of commercial world. I went to San Francisco, continued in that world where I was making marketing films for the Gap, Apple Computer, Intel, you know, Sun Microsystems. It was all pre-internet 90s marketing stuff, and it was very, very high level, doing commercials. So that was like my best production years in terms of, it was, you know, working with fantastic crews, a very high level, and it was great. That kind of ended with the dot-com implosion in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I moved to Boston. And in Boston, I decided I would go into this thing called television, which I had not done yet, which is sort of what they seemed to be doing there. And I was kind of burned out on the corporate video stuff and, you know, selling stuff. So I decided to try this new thing, which was great because I hadn't done it. It really expanded my storytelling capabilities and my writing abilities. And so I worked on shows for History Channel, Animal Planet, Nat Geo, Discovery Channel, things like that. And after I did that work and got comfortable with making that kind of television, I got connected with This Old House, and I made two seasons with a connection with the DIY network, where DIY and This Old House teamed up for a new show called This New House. So I executive produced and directed that series, and then the job opened up for director at This Old House, same facility, same group of people, and did that for 12 years. So, and that just ended just recently. At the end of last year, I decided I'd had enough. It was sort of, they got bought out by Roku, and things have changed, and I sort of needed to kind of get away from the 12-hour days, and it's a grind. So that brought me back to here. I said, where are we going to go? I said, I'm going to come back to this area. So the things that I want to talk about in terms of my experience with cable and, how things are different now. I mean, obviously, you can you can do a lot with this. I mean, everything is different, so this is powerful, and there's a lot of great work being done with the iPhone. But, the reason why I think it's important to use a facility like this, there's really two main takeaways. And that is if you want to go on to do higher level production. There's nothing wrong with the iPhone and staying in that world. And there's so much latitude there, and it's so wonderful, and it's, I'm a little dated for that technology. I mean, I think it's amazing what I see people doing, but if you want to move beyond that and you have a facility like this, it's, definitely use it. And here's my two main points. The first thing is it's important to work with people as a team, and because this is TV production, or production is a team sport. You can do it by yourself, but it's really helpful to be with people with similar ambitions. It's important to be challenged by those people. It's important to learn from them. There's like 12 ways of doing anything, from rolling a cable to there's all sorts of little things in this beautiful thing called video production that you can do different ways. And when you work with other people in a facility like this, you're like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. That's cool. Maybe I'll try that. And you end up kind of getting your own version of how you want to do things. So, it's a really, and the other thing is that going forward in life, you've got to deal with people anyway. And, it's a skill set that, I say this sometimes. I go, what's the hardest part of, let's say, working on This Old House or some, big show for many years? It's just getting along with everybody. I mean, we traveled all over the place together. I mean, we were sick of each other all the time. And that skill set, is real. So, it's not just about making what you're making, but it also has a lot to do with just the interpersonal skill set that you might carry on into other parts of your life. The second thing is that I think is very important is when you come to a facility like this, you have the opportunity to learn all the skills of the trade. So you've got camera, you've got sound, you've got lighting, you've got editing, you've got writing. I draw the comparison to the building trades, largely because I've been dealing with the building. I've been on a construction site for the last 12 years. But in the building trades, you've got apprentices that come up and they have to sort of do everything. One day they're doing electrical, the next day they're doing carpentry, the next day they're doing plumbing, and they're just thrown into this thing. It's very similar. And eventually, those people end up picking maybe, oh, I like electricity, or I like electric. I'm going to go that way, or I like this, or I like that. And it really gives you the opportunity at a facility like this to come in and really try all those different parts, those skills of what I call this trade, this thing called video production. And when you come to a facility like this, you just are thrown into that. I mean, when you can do a production here, a studio production, and one day you're doing the camera, the next day you're in the sound room, and that gives you a well-rounded sort of balanced way to go forward in your career. And one of the things that I think you'll have an advantage when you do that. And what I mean by that is, what struck me when I went to Boston and was doing the television, I started working with a lot of kids, students, or people that came out of Emerson College and younger people. I was like the old guy. And some of them were producers or going down this producing track. And I would be out and I was like, they've never shot, they've never worked a camera, they've never edited. And I was like, huh? Well, is that what? And even seasoned producers, I found that same thing. Now, that's fine, you can do that. But for me, my secret weapon was that I know lenses, I know lighting, I know sound, I know editing. Let's take editing, for example. So I'm out on a shoot, and the producer is saying, okay, that's it, wrap that scene, we're gonna move on to the next. I'm like, no, we need to get 2 more shots. I know that because I edited for years on tape, overnight. But I know that because as an editor, I'm like, no, you need that. I need to get that close up, and that, or in that super wide shot. And they're like, come on, we gotta go. I'm like, no, we're gonna do that. I know that. And they don't. They didn't, and I would get in arguments. I was, come on. So that's a good example. Another thing is, one of the things that's really interesting about this business is that the cameras, even as far as they've come, really are trying to replicate what we see with our eyes. Our eyes, our vision as humans is just probably the most magnificent, wonderful thing, next to hearing. And what we see is like amazing. I mean, the optics of our eyes is sort of just very unique. Cameras get really close to being able to replicate that, but they don't really get that close. So I've been in many situations where the producer will say, let's do it right here. I just had a situation where I was out in Colorado last year for the TV show. We needed to get the talent really close to the mountains, the snowy mountains. And we're on the location scout. We put them in this one spot and looking at it, and it's like, the producer's like, yep, this is gonna be great. I'm like, no, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna. They're like, what do you mean? It's right there, the thing is gonna work. I said, put a camera on that, and that mountain looks really, really far away. It's just that I know that. I've done it a million times. And it's just like, and it was like another argument with the producer. Like, I'm just like, look, I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but I'm just like, I'm telling you it's not gonna work. So we had to go 1 more hour into the mountains with a long drive to get the shot. And because we had to be really close to it for the camera to make it look like our eyes saw it down in the valley. So it's just stuff like that as you grow into this business and you have these skills that you learn in a facility like this, it's power, it's magic. You're gonna be much more successful, and it's really served me well. It's a visual medium with sound and words. A lot of times what you end up getting is, I'm sort of surprised when I watch television. It's full of words. It's just talking nonstop. I mean, this whole house was like, bah, 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 the whole time. I mean, it's not a break. There's a break, everyone would get nervous. It's like, oh, someone's gonna fill that, I'm like, the camera is telling you what to see and know. Don't sweat it. I mean, that kind of stuff. So you learn when you respect the various skills of the trade and you learn them, you don't have to be great at them. You don't have to be a cameraman at the end. You need to have carried that camera on your shoulder. You know that's 50, in this particular case, 50 pounds. And you need to have stayed up all night and edited. You need to have had those headphones on and run that boom pole and know how hard it is to hold a boom pole for more than a minute, I mean, and so as you go into the future of your production, those are little things that that are going to make a difference, and they have totally made a difference for me in my career. Lastly, I say, keep learning, keep growing. It's a very competitive business. Like when I decided I needed to learn digital technology when it happened, I was kind of, my analog brain and my sort of, tape-driven sort of past. I needed to get on board with the digital stuff, so I bought a camera and I started working with it, and I was able to talk to my camera people and say, hey, that's a 50 millimeter lens, let's go for 50 here. And I know the language, I've used it, I've done it, and it gives you a lot of respect back, you get better results, but also, you get a better product for it. So as much as you can do that, you should. And again, this facility is geared for that kind of stuff. That's where you're gonna learn it. And just one more thing is that I just say, be prepared. Go out with a plan, don't wing it, because shoot days are hard. There's a lot of logistical things that you can take care of in the office beforehand. There's a lot of things you can think about before you go out and shoot. Because when you're shooting, you don't want to be chasing logistical problems. You want to have that stuff wrapped up. You want to be able to be spontaneous, and by being prepared, you're allowed to be spontaneous and sort of just roll with some of the things, and that's when the magic happens. But if you're bogged down in how come that thing's not here, all the sort of logistical things that can go wrong, and there are many, you're not gonna do it. So even at my old age, I was, Maura can attest to this, I would be up late the night before a shoot and just working harder than I've ever worked in the last number of years, because I know that I needed to make sure that I wasn't gonna be considered the old guy, even though I probably was, but I needed to be sharp, and even with all my experience, I was always super prepared, and I think it's a really important thing to make sure you do. Please use this facility. Everyone from Easthampton that's watching this, it's amazing. Jeff and his staff are second to none. You don't get this kind of support anywhere. You get this kind of gear. You heard Jeff talk about what they just got. It's amazing. And then the new equipment in here. The studio is fantastic. It's here for you to use. Think of it as an investment. It was magic for me, and it should be magic for you. Viva eMedia. Thank you.
That concludes our program. However, it occurred to me while I was standing here watching the rest of the proceedings that there were a couple of things that I forgot to talk about. One was the fact that we created some really great partnerships over the course of this past year. One of them was with the Easthampton Film Festival. We hosted 3 or 4 screenings here. We had 100 or 50, 150, maybe 200 people come through, which was awesome for us to have people seeing this place and seeing all this. And then the other one was we actually got some interns from our local schools. One, Phoebe Harrison, who's amazing to work with this year, recently graduated, class of 23 from Easthampton High School, as well as a student from Williston. So all great things. Really looking forward to the next year. Looking forward to seeing twice as many of you here next year. Thank you all so much for coming, and have a great night.